Companies are fiercely competing for millennial customers, and it is only the beginning. Millennial customers are those born in the 80s and are now positioned to have the strongest buying power, a key driver for companies chasing profit. The Philippines has its own millennial customers as well, but how can companies make the most out of their presence? Joining us now is Michelle Perez Patel, the founder and managing director of SatisFIND, which helps companies and brands gather concrete info on how they're doing for their customers. And her clients are based here in the Philippines, Singapore, and India. It's good to have you with us, Michelle.
Thank you, Kathy, for having me.
So how would you define a millennial customer, especially as you're doing business in
Yes.
India and Singapore? How different is the Philippine millennial customer?
More than the age bracket, which is in the 80s to born until the 2000, it's really the lifestyle of the millennials that set it apart from the older generations.
Such as? What kind of lifestyle
The
is that?
millennials are digitally connected. The cell phone, the mobile phone, the tablet is like an extended body part. You know, it's the first thing that you check in the morning, and it's the last thing before sleeping at night that
Exactly.
you check.
They're the ones who ride the Ubers. They're the ones
Exactly.
who get into the
Yes.
Airbnbs.
I know
So-
someone a millennial who sold his car because he just doesn't need it anymore and takes Uber every day to work.
So how do you leverage on that? I mean, they're all very socially
Exactly.
connected online. So let's say they have a complaint and they want to tell the
Yes.
company. They go online.
Yes, as a customer,
The problem, it goes
Yeah.
viral.
Exactly. As a customer, millennials are after the total experience, not just offline face-to-face experiences, but definitely the mobile or the online experience. So if you have a website, but it doesn't work, that already mars the experience and causes dissatisfaction. If there's a bad experience that happened, it's so easy now to post a Facebook a complaint, you know, tweet about it, put on Instagram, there's a photo, there's an evidence. So if you're a business owner or you're part of a management of a company, it's really tough now that we have social media that can actually make any complaint seem bigger than
But it is
what
also an opportunity. I mean, it's tough. I
Definitely.
mean, if it goes viral, how do
Exactly.
you damage control? So what are you telling the companies, especially the
yeah.
SMEs?
Exactly. So Filipino-owned companies, especially the SMEs, should be able to prepare for that. First is have a process. It doesn't have to be complicated, just a simple one. Make sure that if someone emails or calls your hotline, someone is there to answer it.
24/7.
24/7. Have a point person for that.
Okay.
Second is have a system. So first is to thank the customer, the complaining customer. And I'm not just singling out millennials. Anyone, even the older generations, can be in the same situation. Second is thank them and then acknowledge the emotion. Not at all times the customer is right. So I think that's a misconception that the customers are always right. No, but they feel that whatever happened to them is valid and legitimate. So even the situation on the part of the business may not necessarily be putting the business in the wrong side, but the fact that a certain situation caused the customer to feel bad, to feel upset and frustrated, that emotion is valid. So the customer the business should be able to acknowledge that emotion. Third is to gather all the information so that you can make a proper investigation. And last
Well,
would be
the investigation, I mean, that takes time.
exactly,
And
but
the
gather the
frustration
information.
lengthens.
Yes.
You gotta manage their expectations. I mean,
Exactly.
how much longer should they have to wait and
They should have
and be in their own misery?
The thing is, an irate customer just needs to be heard and needs to be updated when a response or a reply from the company will be received. So if the company is able to acknowledge immediately that there's a complaining customer and give a turnaround time that's acceptable, is it 24 hours, 48 hours? It could even be a week. But the point is to set that timeline when the customer can expect your feedback.
Sounds
make
like
sure
it's going
that
to
you-
cost an SME more money for damage controlling. I mean, if you were to account for your expenses, how much should you budget for just damage controlling to ensure your business doesn't go haywire just because things got
have that
viral?
perspective.
Yes.
Would you look at taking care of your customers as damage control, therefore as an expense, or taking care of customers to begin with so that you limit the amount of complaints that you get? If you have the system in place, which is to make sure that you have define the customer experience journey, and SatisFIND, my company, can help customers, clients define that customer experience journey, train the staff on what needs to be done, how to respond to little complaints so that they don't escalate into major ones.
So when a potential client comes to you, is it 50-50, proactive and reactive? Do they spend equally for that? when they come to you?
You know, we have different types of clients. We have clients that already have that mindset that they understand the millennial customers and how the millennials have also changed the perspective of the older generation. So they come to us already wanting to set a system in place. Even before they even launch a store, we already work with them. So we identify the customer experience journey, we train the staff. Now, in training, it's very important to make the staff understand why they have to do certain things. Why they even have to smile, why they even have to say a certain spiel. It matters to the staff to understand why. Because if you don't, then compliance will be low. So if you train them well, it builds their confidence. They feel that they can be ready for any customer situation that they can face day to day. And then after that, make sure the business also monitors the compliance of the staff and gather feedback from customers. If you follow these simple things, they may sound complicated, but it's really simple at the end of the day, then you'll be able to avoid that damage control.
We got about a minute, Michelle, and I wanted to go big picture here because earlier this week we had a very big CEO, being faced with complaints from media. Well, they were just reverberating complaints from clients of slow internet speeds and competition coming in. And that really went viral.
I'm sure, yeah.
How does the CEO respond to that? What is the most ideal way?
The most ideal way for me is to focus on the positives. You know, if it's common knowledge that you have a problem, it won't really help if you sugarcoat that and pretend that there's no problem at all. Because if you open Facebook, if their company is all over on bad customer experience, then you lose your credibility the moment you say something to try to cover that up. So you acknowledge that there's a concern. What's important is to focus on the positives. How is your company actually dealing with that situation? What are the plans for the company to make it better so that you're prepared for the competition that's coming?
Well, thank you so much for the advice on the millennial customer, which
you,
includes
Kathy.
a lot of our viewers. Thank you, Michelle Patel of SatisFIND. Well, Fed Yellen speaks, investors go cautious. That's the theme of this hour's show. Traders are now treading very cautiously here in Asia following a possible rate hike.